Today's topic is speed. Many people think speed means moving fast, but that's not true. Speed is not effort. Speed is execution and improvement. Execution turns ideas into reality. Improvement turns mistakes into progress. Speed is the loop, not the rush. Today's topic is speed. Most people think speed means moving fast, working harder, making decisions quickly, pushing forward without hesitation. But that's not what speed really is. Speed is not effort. Speed is not pressure. And speed is not urgency. Real speed is something else. Speed is execution and improvement. Let me explain. Execution means turning ideas into reality. Improvement means learning from reality and adjusting. Speed happens when these two form a loop. Execution, improvement, execution again, improvement again. That loop is speed. Many teams confuse speed with activity. They move fast, but they don't move forward. They rush to ship. They rush to decide. They rush to react. But rushing without learning doesn't create speed. It creates noise. True speed is quiet because it is structured. Think about this. If you execute fast but never improve, you repeat the same mistakes. If you improve endlessly but never execute, nothing actually changes. Speed exists only when execution and improvement reinforce each other. This is why speed is not about talent, it's about design. Well-designed systems move faster than motivated individuals. A team with a clear execution loop will always outperform a team that relies on heroic effort. Let's break this down. Execution answers one simple question. What happens if we try this? Improvement answers another. What did we learn from trying? Speed is not in the answer. Speed is in how fast you move from one question to the other. Most organizations slow themselves down by separating these two steps. They execute first, then they wait. They wait for reports, they wait for meetings, they wait for approvals. By the time improvement happens, the context is already gone. Speed dies in the waiting. Fast organizations remove the waiting. They shorten the distance between action and feedback. They don't try to predict everything in advance. They design for learning. This is why speed is not about planning faster. It's about learning faster. And learning only happens after execution. This leads to a critical insight. Speed is not a single action. Speed is a rhythm. A steady rhythm of execution and improvement beats bursts of intensity every time. Short cycles beat big plans. Small releases beat perfect designs. Clear feedback beats strong opinions. Speed belongs to teams that accept imperfection in exchange for momentum, not chaos. Momentum. There's another misconception. Many people believe speed comes from saying yes faster, but speed often comes from saying no earlier. When execution and improvement are tightly connected, you can stop bad ideas quickly. That is also speed. Stopping early is faster than fixing late. So speed is not about always moving forward. Sometimes speed is about changing direction early. This is why speed requires clarity. You must know what you are trying to learn. Execution without a learning goal is just motion. Improvement without recent execution is just theory. Speed is the discipline of keeping them together. Now here is the most important part. Speed is not visible in a single moment. You cannot judge speed by how busy a team looks. You cannot judge speed by how stressed people are. Speed reveals itself over time, in how quickly a team adapts, in how quickly mistakes disappear, in how consistently results improve. Speed compounds, and compounding speed beats short-term acceleration. This is why copying fast companies rarely works. You see their pace, but you don't see their loops. You see their output, but not their feedback systems. Without the loop, imitation slows you down. So if you want speed, don't ask, how can we move faster? Ask this instead. How can we shorten the loop between execution and improvement? That question changes everything. It shifts focus from pressure to structure, from urgency to rhythm, from effort to design. Speed is not a personality trait, it is a system property, and systems can be built. That is the real advantage. Not working harder, not pushing more, but designing execution and improvement to reinforce each other. That is speed. Let's make this practical. Imagine two teams working on the same product. The first team plans for months, they debate details, they aim for certainty before acting. The second team executes early. They release something imperfect. They watch what happens. They improve immediately. At first, the first team looks slower but safer. The second team looks messy. But after a few cycles, the difference becomes obvious. The second team is learning. The first team is guessing. Speed emerges from learning, not guessing. Now let's look at common mistakes. One mistake is over-optimizing execution. Teams move fast, but they don't stop to reflect. They confuse motion with progress. Another mistake is over-optimizing improvement. Teams analyze endlessly. They generate insights, but nothing changes. Both mistakes break the loop. Speed disappears when execution and improvement drift apart. So how do you protect the loop? Here's a simple checklist. First, make execution small. Smaller actions create faster feedback. Second, make improvement immediate. Don't delay learning. Capture it while context is fresh. Third, make the loop visible. Everyone should know, what did we try? What did we learn? What changes next? And finally, repeat. Speed is not achieved once. It is maintained. If there is one thing to remember, it is this. Speed is not about how fast you move today. It is about how quickly you get better tomorrow. That is why speed compounds. And that is why structure always beats urgency. Good strategy optimizes learning speed, not execution speed. That is speed. So if you want speed, don't ask, how can we move faster? Ask this instead. How can we shorten the loop between execution and improvement?